And it's nice to have you join us on another fresh episode of Enterprise Morning on Enterprise Television. I am Henry Igwebike.
I'm Choma Okohe.
All right, and a bit we'll be going to our newspaper headlines to see what we have for you this morning. And right after that will be our main conversation also for today. But we would implore you to please do visit our website at www.enterprisetvnews.com, like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV S7. With us in the studios to do justice to our newspaper reviews and possibly our main conversation also is Barrister Evans Ufeli, a barrister, a law and a public affairs commentator. Good morning to you and welcome once more to Enterprise Morning today. Yeah. All right, so quickly let's start off like this with our first daily, and it's coming from the Vanguard newspaper. The big story here says Nigerians not alone in poverty. Atiku, Labour Party tackles Tinubu, and the writer here says Tinubu warns against rail tracks vandalism, stealing of electric cables, and you are elected to reduce poverty, not amplify it. That's coming from Labour Party, and stop making excuses for inflicting multi-dimensional poverty on Nigerians, coming from Atiku Abubakar.
I'm still on the Vanguard newspaper, and I'll be starting with the top strip. And on the top strip of the Vanguard newspaper, on the cholera outbreak, some Lagos schools may not resume from break. That is coming from the commissioner. Details are on page 6.
Yes, and also we have on the bottom strip, no, on the side of the same newspaper, residents or doctors beg for more physicians at a general hospital in Ilorin.
And Hares Holdings celebrates Impact, convenes annual directors summit.
On the top strip of the same newspaper, Uniben graduate beaten, raped to death in Edo.
And lastly, we have how Lagos police rescued kidnapped Finan MD. 4 others in midnight raid. Details are on page 8.
All right, good. So let's get into a very interesting but sorry state story that we have. Uniben graduate beaten, raped to death in Edo State. Pastor Evans Ufeli, I want to believe it's a sad news, but it's not common any longer in Nigeria. With the society that we have right now, we do not know those we can call criminals and those who we might not call, because of the society that we find ourselves. So do you think the death of this young graduate could be pinned to cultism, or is it non-state actors? Because we don't know who the unidentified criminals are any longer.
Well, I have not read the story, yeah, but I know that the action is an offense. Rape all over the world is an offense. And the penalty for same across the world are similar. Okay. In Nigeria, the offense actually is life imprisonment, because it's a heinous offense. It's an offense that comes with not just damaging the human person, but also it comes with a lot of trauma. And every rape survivor I've seen, you cannot move on from rape. It's not possible. You can't move on. There's nothing like I have moved on. It's stored somewhere. It torments you somewhere. It's the horror and the pain. It's always there, hovering at every point in time. It's very easy to slip into clinical depression when you have suffered that situation. So this is not the first time I'm having the case of the Uniben. You know, there was a time not too long ago, 4 years or thereabout, a young girl that went to read somewhere.
Yeah, true.
Okay, well, she was raped and killed. Okay, and now we're having a reoccurrence. In the West, when an offense is committed by pattern, the law enforcement agencies will go study that pattern and use that pattern to ensure that there's no reoccurrence. In other words, they will build intelligence around that pattern. They will create so much awareness around that pattern so that you don't have a reoccurrence. That's what they do. So they fight crime by templates already deployed by criminals. so they can have an upper hand whenever they are deployed to confront criminals of that kind. Okay, but I'm not sure that we have built any such intelligence around that particular case, and that is why there is a resurgence, so there's a reoccurrence of that same pattern. And it's also at least most unfortunate. Both the criminals and the disease, that's the victim, the criminals must be apprehended and dealt with according to law. Okay, the victim is gone. Okay, there's no reproof or solace for a demised person. Okay, but for those who are still alive, should also study the pattern themselves. Okay, to see what were the mistakes she made, or if there is any. I am not sure whether she was bundled from a crowd.
No, she wasn't.
And taken to a reclusive place for that offense to be committed. So what I will say is that women in particular should be careful where they go. They should be careful when they get an invitation to show up somewhere. It's not up to 3 weeks when we lost two ladies that left their state to another state to meet some man. That, you see, all over the country, with the advent of social media, girls are moving from one location to the other. As we're talking now, girls are moving. I'm telling you, they have concocted someone, a stranger online, who they barely know, who had sent them money. Some of the girls collect the money and they don't come, they don't go. That's criminal too. Then some collect the money and they go in search for that person because there's a bait attached to it. This is your transport. If you come, you get times 2 and all that. Many of them will go and return to their homes. Many. I mean, you won't get any case of what that. But some will go and not return because the other person who is over there have other plans with third parties. So the female gender should be very careful, including the male genders. They should be very careful too. We have a loose of ritualists, organ harvesters. Now it's becoming more and more terrible. Okay, then we have those who just derive pleasure from committing rape, committing heinous offense, and just taking the life of the other person. We saw what happened with the case in Akwa Ibom. It's about 3 years now, or 4 years now, where the young girl was lured through Twitter. Now there's a job for her somewhere. I think she just finished her NYC. And she went for that. Now, the address sent to you that you're going, the place doesn't look like there's any establishment there. But you went.
Okay,
this is not to blame the dead, but I'm saying that people should be careful, apply intelligence, and look at issues very deeply before you embark on journeys.
But thank you, Barrister Feli. This young lady in question, she finished from Uniben, and she was going to school for her clearance, which she have been, because she finished in April, and this is June, and it just happened a few days back. Her body was brought down to the house, like close to the house, and that was how her body was identified. It was not as though she went missing. And if we should trace it to the previous case of the lady too, in Uniben, who was killed because has happened in church also. Now,
she went to read somewhere.
Yes, she went to read somewhere. Now, this is becoming a pattern, as he said. And the younger brother had to come out on Twitter to cry and say he's seeking for justice for the sister. And the mother have not found herself yet. Now, do you think we have the right authorities when it comes to handling cases like this? Because over time, this is blown under the carpet and everybody just move on with their life. How long are we going to continue like this? And when it comes to school environment, the high rates of abuse, sexual molestation and all the rest is high, especially very high. Yeah. So what is the future of our educational system when this continues like this?
Yes, I have been involved so much in rape cases, so much so that when when you Google my name on that issue, you'll see that I have been deeply involved in rape cases to exterminate it completely from our society. It's horrible, very, very horrible. Now, the first question I'm going to ask is that the girl lived in a locale, okay? The closest police station to that place where she lived and where the incident occurred is the first point of call, okay? It's the first point of call because criminality usually would take place in a location. And in every location, when you look at the about 16,000 police stations in Nigeria or thereabouts that are within different locations. Okay, the question now is, what response or what intelligence gathering have we gotten so far from? Because it appears it is younger brother now that is, unlike what the police should do to undertake criminal investigation, okay, is calling out to the public, you know, for the sister for justice and all that. So what it means is that that thing could possibly have happened around that area, and it may be people within that vicinity. You know, we're just brainstorming.
Yeah.
It might be people within that vicinity. They brought her body to. So what informs that? You know, criminals usually will not assist their victims to find any kind of help, or because it might lead to them being caught or whatever. So who brought the body? Okay, is this someone who found her dead somewhere and brought the body for recognition, or is it the criminals that brought the body? These are questions. So investigation will reveal actually what really transpired. But it should not be swept under the carpet, because the killers of the other girl, I didn't follow the story enough to know where they are now, whether they have been apprehended. Some persons were arrested.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have they been charged? Okay, if they have been charged, is there any conviction? Okay, and all that. So this particular case, the only way you can get the law enforcement agencies to do the right thing is when the community keep a tab on the case. Because law enforcement agents too can compromise. We've seen it in many occasions. I did a rape case where the young girl was having abdominal pain, recurrent abdominal pain. She's not schooled. She's unschooled. And then she went to meet the tradomedical doctors. One tradomedical doctor, whatever it is, somewhere at a boulevard in Lagos. And the man said she has to come back on a day where he's not very busy. Gave her an appointment. She came that day. And he said the man rubbed her something on her abdominal and whatever. And he used those medical implements to check her vagina, and he removed the medical implement and put his penis there. You understand? So he did that to her, and I was the one who undertook the case. When I started the case, immediately I wrote a petition to the police, the Isokoko police station, the one that handles family issue at Agege. Then the woman's wife started protesting all over the place that they want to kill the husband, they want to, and all that. I was in my chambers when the suspect, his brother in Ibadan, called me, offered me 2 million naira to drop the case. Wow. And I told the man that this is not you have met the wrong person. You see this case, we'll get down to it. The man is in detention as I speak since 2016.
Wow.
He's in detention till now. Okay. So the people who commit this, we must sift them away from our society. You know how you sift, grain, the chaff out. We must sift them away, build bigger prisons and lock them up there. They are not humans. They are not humans. And the earlier we identify them and put them where they belong by law, will not have, because their penalty is life imprisonment. So once they are found guilty, there's nothing like seeing the light of the day again. They go there and say, an attempt only, attempted rape is 14 years imprisonment. That they even prove that you tried to ruffle her to a point where, but you were in an inchoate offense, you were caught before you had penetration, it's 14 years imprisonment. Then actual penetration is life imprisonment. We must get there. And I noticed during my work that many of the perpetrators, don't know the penalty of the offense until they are behind bars. Yes, they don't. They are also surprised that why their action, should lead to life imprisonment. They are also surprised why attempt to lead to 14 years imprisonment. Okay? Because they don't know the implication. And because our society too don't take it serious. Have you seen where landlord association, where they assume jurisdiction to resolve rape cases? It happens everywhere. Sometimes family members, they will gather and they will start to, yes, and that in itself is an offense. They did it in one of the cases I was handling, and I brought police to arrest the chairman of the landlord association and all those who conspired to assume jurisdiction to hear a rape case. You cannot. It's only the high court. Even the magistrate court don't have jurisdiction. Only the high court, let alone the landlord association. They don't have jurisdiction. So we disbanded that settlement they were trying to do, because what they will do now, they will now call the girl and then they will start to blame her. Why did you go there? What did you wear? Where are you?
Or our culture.
So all that. So we should not allow
very,
that.
very unfortunate though. While we discuss this begs the question if we still have expert forensics who would do fingerprint swabs and all in order to identify some of these things. But let's move on to the next daily. This coming from the Daily Times newspaper. The big story here says Rivers crisis shootings as the Fubara directs HLGA to take over 23 councils. And the writer here says security operatives killed Lled occupy PH local government complex.
And there on the downstrip of the Daily Times newspaper, Lagos PDP recommends Bode George for suspension. Details are on page 16.
And also on the bottom strip, US researcher projected Nigeria a failed state 2030, and that's on page 2 of the Daily Times newspaper.
Still on the Daily Times newspaper, ANAP seeks immediate constitution of aviation boards. Details are on page 4.
And on the bottom strip of the same newspaper, Airspace NAAE flays misleading reader report says equipment is safe.
And evaluating Nigerians' health sector in 25 years. That particular details are on page 25.
All right, President Francis Ufeli, let's talk about Bode George. It's interesting, how the politicians can jump a ship and abruptly. Bode George once said, if President Bola Ahmed Tinubu becomes the president, he would use a japa, out of Nigeria, relocate, the local, parlance, to Ghana or some other country. And he has been so very vocal about Bola Ahmed Tinubu, inciting lots of stuff. He stole land, he took over lots of things and all. And right now it's beginning to look like same old Bode George is beginning to tilt and pound towards Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Why do you think this is happening at this point? Because, of course, the PDP are requesting or recommending a suspension.
Yes, they are recommending suspension because they view his actions as anti-party. During the campaign, Tinubu's campaign towards the build-up to the 2023 election, when Tinubu started garnering a lot of support and had become the party's flag bearer, that is the APC flag bearer, and won the primaries and all that, he made that statement, that if Tinubu becomes the president of Nigeria, he would leave the country. He would go on exile. Yes. Now, when Tinubu won, sometimes last year, Tinubu met with him one-on-one. I don't know if you remember the story. Tinubu met with him one-on-one. When Tinubu was going around to thank those who supported him and all that, Wike, the rest of them, he was having a lot of, because so many persons in the PDP actually worked for Tinubu. Yes, is that a strategist? A lot of people, he used people like Wike and some other, even part of the caretaker committee of the PDP in some states worked for him. Because there's a way they play that politics, an advanced kind of politics where you are using opposition to work for you. So he did that successfully because he had the money to so entrench himself in the minds of the people and with politicians and all that. So many people, were just hypocritical about that opposition. I don't know what him and the judge discussed, because it was not made public.
Yeah.
But Tinubu, when he was interviewed, said it was a very fruitful meeting he had with Bodejo. And Bodejo, when he was also spoken to, he said, well, let's see how it goes. He was no longer where he used to be in his thought, in his position after the meeting. You understand? I'm not surprised now. Okay? I'm not surprised now that he's praising Tinubu. Okay? Even the steps, with all the wrong policies and wrong steps Tinubu have taken, but the judge have not made any statement referring us to what he meant when he said he will go on Ezana. Because by now he should be talking loud to say, did I not tell you guys that this man is not the person you should? Now, sometimes he's quiet, sometimes he makes just casual statement about it and all that. He has not relocated to anywhere. So it tells you how shameless our politicians are. Even Wike, when they asked him whether he's going to leave PDP to APC, he told the journalist that how can you leave malaria and go and embrace cancer? You understand? So that's how he puts it. He said, God forbid and all that. Today, he's a minister under that political party. Though he has not moved, but his body, spirit, and soul is not even in the PDP. Okay? So, I am not surprised. I mean, have we not seen this all over? We've seen it on several locations. They say something in the morning, in the afternoon, and then they change it. When you confront them, they will say it's politics. That there's no permanent friend, there's no permanent enemy. When you have permanent interest. And I think that is deceptive. It's very deceptive to tell me that you cannot be trusted. And you are now quoting, you are now giving me some quotes to solidify the fact that you cannot be trusted. It also shows why we are not even moving forward. If we don't have credible people who have ideology to pursue a cause, why do we think Nigeria will change overnight? In the hands of who? It cannot. It can't change like that. The people leading you are bereft of integrity. So where are they going to get the moral standing to give you good governance or to change the country? They tell you something in the morning, they change in the afternoon. Okay, look at the battle they're having with Labour now. You understand? You have been battle with Labour on how much to feed how many people has the federal government employed that I cannot take care of. So this is where we are. So the likes of Bodejo and even the ones older than him, the likes of Obasanjo and Atiku. Yeah, exactly. I keep telling people about Atiku. That the Tinubu you see is a more with the accusations against Uniben and all that. Yeah. Tinubu is a far more credible person than Atiku. Really? Yes, far more credible than Atiku. Go and ask people that know Tinubu, that know Atiku. Go and ask people. So these are a couple of people who cannot take this country out of where it is. You understand? Don't worry, I will send this to Tunji. when you interview him. Okay,
thank you so much. Thank you, Barrister Feli. Okay, let's get into our last paper, which is the Punch newspaper. And on the top strip, federal government offers 17 new oil blocks for bidding. Details are on page 18.
Yes, and also on the top strip of the same newspaper, revenue generating agencies owe federal government over 3 trillion naira, and that's coming from FARC.
And federal government seeks UNESCO recognition for Ujude Oba Festival.
And also, abducted Fuani MD 3 Lebanese reunite with families.
And on the cholera here on the Punch, it says WHO, UNICEF hold emergency meetings. Experts wants corpus. Details are on page 15.
Okay, so what story do you
Yeah, let's talk about the cholera. Some schools have, the Commissioner for Lagos State have said some schools will not open.
Commissioner of Health?
Yeah, for Lagos State have said some schools will not open based on the cholera. And now the WHO, UNICEF are holding an emergency meeting and experts want corpus because yes, they might be in other places. Now, what do you think about this? Going the right way, especially for Lagos, don't you think other states should actually adopt the same mission? Because coming out this morning, I saw some school bus going out to pick children and at this delicate time.
Yeah, I think that's private school, right?
Yes, private school.
It's the outbreak is not in the 36 states.
Yes,
It's just in Lagos and some other few states. So that's where the outbreak is. So for those states, like I said it before, that the school should not even resume. That if school will have to resume, that the junior school should not resume. Those ones, their mind is not developed enough to know what to do, even with instructions. They don't really know much on what to do. So I'm glad that there's an emergency meeting with the WHO, UNESCO. These are the world recognized institutions that will usually superintend over outbreak of pestilence. An epidemic. This is an epidemic, okay? How be it that it is not all over the country, it's just within some states.
But 30 people have been fed dead in 30 states already.
Only other states have been confirmed. No.
Yes. A lot of persons have died as a result of it. And this meeting will further also, when they are done with it, they are going to have a communique. We're going to see what the strategies are, and what the states are expected to do when they release all this. They will come up with a strategy, and this will actually lead, because the rains are just coming, okay? And the more the rain, the more, and you have refuse all over the place. You have, you see, it's about sanitation, really. If we apply preventive measures, we won't get such outbreaks. You understand that?
Yeah, so just before we leave, I want to ask this question in 30 seconds or less, because this is your area of forte. Kano Emirates Senate denies alleged emergency rule. NBA probes lawyers. Bring us up to speed.
NBA probes
lawyers on that particular case.
On the case of which particular case?
On the case of the Emirate, the issue in Kano.
Okay, on the case. Okay, on the case. Yeah, because some lawyers are involved in practices when they know things are wrong. They still go ahead to, undertake legal proceedings or take brief to further entrench what is wrong. A lawyer is supposed to know. There's what they call the Cabrak rule. Under the law, or what they call Cabrak rules, that you must not reject brief. Okay, you must not reject brief. Okay, then there's what they call champati. You must not go from door to door to ask them to give you brief. It's not done. Okay. So there's an exception to the Cabrak rule. That is to say that you can reject a brief on certain grounds. 2 grounds. 1, on the basis of religion. Okay, and 2, on if you infer fraud. You understand? Now, a reasonable man, there's what they call reasonable man standard in law. If a reasonable man in your position ought to have known that what you were going into was a total perversion of the rule of law, and because of the pecuniary gains, you set aside your mind and went for it because of you'll be probed. Okay, so you go through what they call the disciplinary committee of the NBA, and if you are found wanting, it can lead to disbarment. You can disbar the person. If the person is an SN, they can derobe him of his SN and even disbar him, that he will not practice law again. Okay, so that is one of the measures. If you take money that belongs to clients, because as lawyers, you see a lot of money. So much money. You see so much money to the point where you will not know, you're not able to separate your own from your client's money. Yes. There's so much money to play around with. So that is why we're asked to open a client account. You have a client account, you have a chambers account, then you have your own personal account. So monies that you know that are meant for the client, you pay to client account. The ones that is yours, maybe your percentage from what goes to your own account or your chamber account. So that's how you manage. Now, in law school, we're taught how to manage this account, because as a natural human being, you cannot manage it. You mix client money with your own money and you start to spend. And lawyers like cars. Lawyers like flashy things. They like temptation. So by the time they dip their hands into everything and they have finished all the money, including their clients' own, and you are reported to an MBA, you show up, and if it has to do with funds, you may be debarred. If it's noticed that you have spent clients' money, it's forbidden. So part of the rule is that you have to stay clear resources that belong to clients, know the limit, know where yours is, know how to manage. That's why you are taught to manage. So in this case, these lawyers have been involved in what they call infamous conduct. Infamous conduct, there are penalties to it. So until the case is resolved, you cannot actually place a blame on any of them because they have to investigate and come to.
Right.
Yeah.
So thank you so very much for the information, and just to let you know, Barrister Vance Ofeli will be staying true for our conversation also.
Okay, thank you, Barrister Ofeli.
Thank you.
And when we return, Rivers stayed on the boil as angry youth chased out council chairman whose tenure had expired.
That in a bit, please don't go anywhere.